Mao Zedong was lonely for a while, and the people awakened to support him forever. Loneliness has different standpoints, different realms, different heights, different perspectives, different beliefs, and different understandings of loneliness. Mao Zedong was accompanied by loneliness all his life, but it was not the mainstream. You don't understand his loneliness, but the people understand. When Confucius visited Lao Tzu, Li Er stood in the courtyard and entered the realm of ecstasy. Confucius thought that Lao Tzu was lonely, but Lao Tzu said, he entered another world, which was very beautiful. In the square house, you are fascinated to explore the mysteries of mathematics. You think he is lonely, but he is not alone. Yuan Longping is still fighting in the fields, suffering very much. You think he is lonely, but his research is in full swing. A few days before Chairman Mao's death, he asked the staff to read books and newspapers to him. Is Mao Zedong lonely? You don't understand, let alone understand. From the perspective of the family, according to the logic of your statement, it really chills the hearts of countless martyrs. Why do you say that? In order to establish a new China, build a new China, and develop a new China, Mao Zedong's family and the families of hundreds of millions of people have sacrificed thousands of heroic sons and daughters without complaint or regret. The parents of these families are lonely in their later years, especially in the past few decades, lacking social warmth and feeling very lonely. But I think that Mao Zedong is the same as the families of hundreds of millions of martyrs. The lonely old age is great loneliness, the greatness of loneliness. He, she, should enjoy the greatest salute, the most noble salute, and party members and cadres take the lead in doing it. Sons and daughters of martyrs, warm those lonely hearts. When corrupt officials were not arrested, they often said at the conference, treat the people like parents. After the meeting, good guy, he changed his mind, embezzled and accepted bribes, wore a mask to gnaw on the old, gnawed on the common people, fish and meat masses, and now it has infected some young people, making some parents miserable. Because of this, many netizens said, they are the sons of the people. It is not unreasonable. The hearts of martyrs, the hearts of martyrs, the hearts of Mao Zedong, the hearts of the people, you don't understand, you are sorry for the heroes of the people. There are 72 martyrs in Huanghuagan. One martyr is named Lin Zhuomin. Lin has a letter to father, the father is an adult, and the son is dead, but the adults suffer, and the younger brothers and sisters lack food and clothing. It is very beneficial to the compatriots all over the country. I beg for forgiveness for a serious crime. The word beg made people cry. Letter with wife, I will say goodbye to you forever with this book. I wrote this book with tears and pen and ink. I love you so much, that is, the thought of loving you makes me brave to die. I met you since then, I have always wished that all the people in the world get married. However, the place is full of fish and dogs, and the streets are full of wolf dogs. How many families can do it? You empathize with my heart, and while weeping, you also think of the people of the world, and you should be happy to sacrifice the welfare of my body, and yours is to seek eternal happiness for the people of the world. Do not be sad. I sacrificed 100 deaths without saying goodbye, and made you worry. Not what I thought. I love you so much, so I am afraid that those who plan for you will not be exhausted. You are lucky to meet me, so why are you so unfortunate to be born today? China. I was fortunate enough to have you, so how unfortunate is it to be born in today's China? I can't bear to be alone. My husband. There are still thousands of unfinished things, and you can imitate them. I can't see you now. You can't give me up. I found me in my dream every now and then. A groan. Woman's parents and wife, reading the 2 letters, would surely burst into tears, tears running down their cheeks, and soaking the letter paper. There are more than thousands of families like this. Yang Kai-hui cried in the letter to Mao Zedong on Mao Zedong's birthday, I haven't received a letter for many days, waiting every day, tears. I don't want to be so sad. The child is also sad with me, and the mother is also sad. 1 month, half a year. 1 to 3 years, without hearing from you. The past events, scenes are tumbling in my mind, and the future events I also assume that even if you die, my tears will still wrap around your body. I'm going to cry, I'm really going to cry, I can't stop loving you, I can't. The words are full of infinite love, longing, sadness, and also strength. Before Yang Kai-hui went to the execution ground, he said to Mao Anying, who was holding her, son, If you see Dad in the future, just say that I didn't do anything wrong to the party. Say that I miss him very much. Mao Zedong received Yang Kaihui's words, but entrusted Mao Zedong never read the letter of infinite miss until his death. But when he heard the news of Yang Kaihui's death, he was full of tears and mourned, Kaihui's death will not be redeemed by 100 bodies. Chairman Mao in his later years, I lost my arrogance and Yang Jun lost the willow, tears flew down like rain. Chairman Mao has been away for many years. The staff sorted out his belongings and found a small box from the cabinet, only to know that it was Mao Anying's belongings. Chairman Mao in his later years, why wouldn't this old man hold his hands up in the middle of the night, tears streaming down, why wouldn't there be tears of a father SIER on Mao Anying's clothes? However, it had no effect at all. Chairman Mao didn't mention Nixon's visit to China and the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and the United States. What he thought of was the great interests of the big family of the Chinese nation. Chiang Kai-shek, who dug the Mao family's ancestral grave and killed Yang Kaihui, died. The guards rushed to tell Chairman Mao that he hoped Chairman Mao would be happier. As a result, instead of being happy, he looked dignified and remained silent. The first thing he thought of was international variables, national interests, great lonely people, how broad-minded. Mao Zedong did not have a house that belonged to him, and the house in his hometown became a tourist attraction, contributing to social values and local economy. Most of the royalties are donated to the people of the country. You don't understand, but the masses understand. There is an endless stream of ordinary people who visit Chairman Mao and Yang Kaihui every year. Many people go to North Korea to pay homage to Mao Anying. Chairman Xi said it wonderfully, Mao Zedong has a heart of the sun. This is the General Secretary of the people. In order not to suffer from the slavery and exploitation for thousands of years, and for hundreds of millions of women to be free, countless families sent their sons to join the army. Thousands of heroes and sons and daughters, without fear of life and death, marched forward bravely, vowing to overthrow the three mountains for liberation. There are thousands of martyrs in the Red Army, tens of thousands of martyrs in the anti-Japanese war, thousands of martyrs in the War of Liberation, thousands of martyrs in the war to resist U.S. aggression and aid Korea, thousands of martyrs in the Jinbao Island Battle of Southern Tibet, martyrs in the self-defense counterattack against Vietnam, and thousands of martyrs from the founding of the People's Republic of China to the reform and opening up. Tens of thousands, their parents' and close relatives' old age is the same as Mao Zedong's old age, and there will be loneliness. Is it not the case in Premier Zhou's old age? Dedicated to the country and the people, a hard life without complaints or regrets. I don't understand, but the people understand. The monument to the people's heroes echoes the Chairman Mao Memorial Hall, and the people will never forget these heroes. Today, the people's soldiers who are fighting on the anti-terrorist front will sacrifice, and they are also born and raised by their parents. The loneliness of the sacrificed martyrs, their parents, and relatives in their old age is unavoidable. The society needs positive energy to warm him, her. How much of an after effect does your article bring to the country? Time will tell. You should resign. Because, as far as great democracy is concerned, the level of Marxism-Leninism Mao you, the vice president, is indeed not high, and you are not qualified. The fact that the people have great opinions on your views is the most convincing proof. Chairman Mao's loneliness is different from that of our ordinary people. General Wang Zhen famously said in his later years, Chairman Mao is 50 years old. A great strategist, a giant among giants, because he sees too far, beyond the reach of others, must have a loneliness that cannot be understood by others. Therefore, he said, sometimes, the truth is in the hands of a few. The Kuomintang and the Communist Party cooperated, Chen Duxiu compromised, Mao Zedong opposed, and he was a minority. After the failure, Mao Zedong launched the Autumn Harvest Uprising and established the Jinggangshan base area, starting from scratch with as many as 300,000 soldiers and horses. The Shanghai faction who believed in the Soviet model and seized power in cities failed. When I ran to Jinggang Mountains, I said, Marxism-Leninism cannot emerge from the valleys. Commissar Mao was laid off, and he was very lonely, a big failure, a big transfer. Why is there the famous Zunyi turning point? Mao Zedong was re-employed, and we went from victory to victory. The whole country liberated. What kind of loneliness did Chairman Mao have in his later years? A little personal opinion. Political loneliness, Mao Zedong said when he entered Beijing, he would never be Li Zikin. The second major thing he did was to solve the law of Zhou in China for thousands of years. Many people don't understand the rectification movement, the 3 antis and 5 antis, the new 3 antis, and the 4 cleansing movement, calling it rectification of people and tossing. 3 antis, corrupt officials, Zhan and Zhang Zishan were shot. Chairman Mao explained to those who dissented, this move can save 2,000 to 20,000 cotters. After hearing about it in Xinjiang, Wang Zhen said, 2 bullets can last for 20 years. Chairman Mao is gone, no more tossing, the wind of escorting, eating and drinking, and corruption are getting stronger and stronger, so that some corrupt officials complain after being arrested, why didn't they arrest me sooner, and I won't be reduced to the current situation. The point of no return. Today, the anti-corruption fight against tigers and sweating flies, corrupt officials must be lonely in their later years, and the parents of corrupt officials must be even more lonely in their later years. At this moment, looking back, have you understood Mao Zedong? The rectification movement, the 3 antis and 5 antis, the new 3 antis, and the 4 clean UPS, in Mao Zedong's view, only cured the symptoms but not the root cause. The great man was thinking that the laws of the weak in China were all overthrown by the people's uprisings. The way of shouting, erring, and debating is what he said at the time, I am willing to cut my body, dare to pull the emperor off the horse. Wendu's method maintains the dictatorship of the proletariat and the people's democratic dictatorship. Mao Zedong began to train successors from the 8th National Congress, helped him on the horse, sent him off, and retreated to the second line. However, after a few years, Mao believed that some people in the party wanted to take the road of capitalism. Wu Lengzi, then president of Xinhua News Agency, said in his memoirs, in the central leadership at that time, Mao Zedong was a minority, so I had to follow the majority of central leaders. Mao Zedong was one of the few opponents of agricultural production contracting to households. Deng Zhui said, the responsibility system of household contracting is good. The enthusiasm of the masses is great, and they work with lights at night. Liu Shaokai said that it can be tried. After Deng Xiaoping knew about it, he said, in areas where farmers' lives are difficult, various methods can be adopted. It doesn't matter if the cat is black or white, as long as it catches mice. Realized the benefits of implementing household contracting. This time, Mao Zedong was no longer silent, and said, the household production contract has been practiced for thousands of years, do we still need to experiment? If the household production contract is implemented, within 2 years, the polarization, the rich and the poor, will be polarized in the next year, and some people will ask for a concubine. This time you engage in household contracting, Marxism will fly away. Mao Zedong returned to Jingganshan in 1965, and pointed out earnestly, why do I take the household contracting of production so seriously? China is a large agricultural country. If the foundation of rural ownership changes, the industrial foundation of our country that serves the collective economy will be shaken. Polarization is very fast. To engage in capitalism under our conditions, we can only be a vassal of others. In the past, China's road to capitalism was unworkable, and I don't think it's still impossible to take the road of capitalism today. If we want to go, we will to sacrifice the fundamental interests of the working people is against the purpose of the Communist Party. Domestic class conflicts and ethnic conflicts will intensify, and if not done well, they will be exploited by the enemy. Did anyone understand at the time? Most people don't understand that Mao is lonely. When the Cultural Revolution was launched, not many people supported it, but many people opposed it. Many people simply don't understand why there are capitalists and capitalist roaders in China. They are all gone today, and if they are gone, there will never be any in the future. Some people had great opinions. Chairman Mao said to the people around him, I don't want to see the phenomenon of people exploiting people on the land of China, capitalists, business owners, prostitutes and opium smokers. If that happens, many martyrs will die. Your blood will be shed in vain. Is there any? Facts will speak. Kunshan bold words, Kunshan people welcome you to it. The more you exploit, the happier you will be. What to do if the boss is happy, what to do if the boss is at ease, what to do if you feel comfortable. It is the sinners who affect the investment environment. Corrupt officials said, we have concubines, prostitutes, and even children. Huang Hebo also raised his hand and said, I also went whoring. Zhang Mo, Li Daimo, Fang Zuming also said that I took drugs. Peking University stood up and said, 1/3 of the wealth is concentrated in the hands of 1% of the people. It is also said internationally that China's clean government index has slipped from the 1st to the 76th. At present, Chairman Xi is in power, and when the new Politburo studied collectively for the first time, he said, a large number of facts tell us that the problem of corruption is getting worse and worse, and that the party and the country will eventually die. Chairman Xi's words represent the broadest in the hearts of the people: Xi Jinping, Wang rectification, anti-corruption, and the path of common prosperity have won hundreds of millions of praise from the masses. However, it must be seen that the current struggle is fierce and cruel. The first disadvantage of the school is that there is no relationship between teachers and students. The teacher has a money doctrine, and the students have a diploma doctrine. Take a deal and retreat, and each gets what he wants. What is teaching? It is just a business behavior. The second of the school, the first disadvantage is that human nature is trampled on by a uniform mechanical teaching method and management method. People have different fertility, high talents, and low abilities, and different perceptions. Schools don't care about this at all, they only know to use the same give you something to eat. The school follows the power of the autocratic emperor and despises the personality of the students. It openly manages the students. There are only uniform professors, but the students do not have complete humanity. There is only mechanical management, but the students do not have complete personality. Who said this? So realistic. His name is Mao Zedong, a work in 1921, when he was only 28 years old. Mao Zedong's educational revolution was also a lonely one. Going to the mountains and going to the countryside means that young people should go to the countryside to read books with and practice the truth. Most people don't understand, but Lu Yulan understands. A 15-year-old girl led the villagers to create a new world. Not only can she be a good village secretary, she can also be a good county party secretary, all the way to the provincial party secretary, and her integrity can be a model for a generation. Now it is on CCTV again, and it is still touching. Some educated youths have brought great changes to China's rural areas, and the great northern wilderness has turned into Baidakang, the pride of the educated youths. Did you understand then? Most people don't understand. Educated youths have also set up many collective enterprises. If Chairman Mao followed the path, tens of thousands of Waxi, Nanja, and Dazai villages would have stood up long ago, and agricultural modernization and urbanization would have been realized long ago. Go look at Europe, the cooperative model, see why Denmark has 13 Nobel Prizes. Their education system is similar to Mao Zedong's education reform. Studying, on practice. You don't understand the loneliness of a strategist, but you can understand it through practice and time. Mao Zedong said, practice is the criterion for testing truth. He also said that time can also test truth. Some people add only to the stuff, and they don't read Mao Zedong thought, and they don't understand Mao Zedong. It only can be seen. Chairman Mao's biggest loneliness in his later years is that there are too many politicians who are fighting for power and profit. Choose a politician who believes in Marxism-Leninism, insists on socialism, forgets selfishness in public, dares to act, and serves the people. Hard to find. At the age of 82, he said, when I was loyal to the country, why was I afraid of dying? Now that the world is popular, who will guard the country? The career is unfinished, the body is tired, and the temples are already autumn. You and I, bear the long-cherished wish and give it to the East. With emotion. Jian Suisun, who has gone through 30 years, also felt lonely in his later years. His loneliness was the same as that of Chairman Mao. He was lonely for the country. He once said, if Mao Zedong thought and public ownership are thrown away, China will be finished. Jian Lao is also lonely. What kind of person is not lonely? The sky is falling, the tall man stands on top of it, and the selfish person who hangs high is not lonely in the small circle, just a little lonely. Such a person is not a political master, let alone a strategy home, politicians only. Mao Zedong, who is confident that he has lived for 200 years, will always be with the people and 56 ethnic groups. He not only belongs to China, but also belongs to the whole world. Long live the people, long live Mao Zedong thought, Chairman Mao is eternal, never alone. Finally, I remembered a sentence from Premier Zhou, practice has proved that Chairman Mao is right. Premier Zhou understands Chairman Mao's loneliness. The greatest common divisor of the Chinese people is only one. Mao Zedong thought, he is the patron saint of our party and people. In the past, Chairman Mao said that he was the son of a farmer. Today, the people are calling from the bottom of their hearts, a grandpa. There was a grandpa. I see him every day. In various places. Here, book. Here, calendar. And here, RMB. Little friend said. He has been dead for many years. Although I don't understand what he did. But it feels great. Some say he can write poetry. Someone said. He is invincible. Others say. He is a great leader. Great commander. Great helmsman. But Dad said. He said. None of the four great. Just one teacher. Grandma said. His son died for his country. I said. So he has no children. Dad said. No, we are all his children. He is the father of our nation. But Mother said. Some people don't like him. Actually, sometimes I'm afraid of Dad. Mom said. Capricorns are so complicated. However, it feels safe. Grandma said. She saw him when she was young. And many others. Dad said. He met him. He is still there. But the teacher said. He is gone. Will he come back? Grandma used to say. He's gone. But he still has to go home. Maybe now he's on his way home. He remembers us, serving the people. As we remember him. Him and us. Together. As we all know, naval strength is one of the important symbols to measure whether a country is a military power. Of course, those landlocked countries are not considered. With the continuous development in recent years, our country's naval power can be said to have advanced by leaps and bounds, and it has already ranked among the top ranks in the world. Some time ago, the 7th ship Zuni and the 8th ship Xianyang of the domestic 055 large guided missile destroyer were officially released. Up to now, our Army has owned 8 10,000-ton large guided missile destroyers. According to data, the Type 055 large guided missile destroyer is currently the most capable guided missile destroyer in the world. Its displacement is as high as 13,000 tons. It is among the top destroyers in the world. Plus class guided missile cruiser is even more powerful. The United States attaches great importance to the Type 055 large-scale drive of our Army. In the latest version of the guidelines for the identification of ships at sea in China, 2021-2022, it has been nicknamed Blade C, which is defined as a huge attack force. Missile cruiser. Note, it's not a guided missile destroyer, but a guided missile cruiser. For the invincible United States, it seems unusual to call our warships like this. But we don't need to belittle the other party's professionalism, and we won't make the low-level mistake of calling a destroyer a cruiser. In other words, according to the specifications, our Type 055 guided missile destroyer is actually a missile cruiser. There is no doubt that even the United States is greedy, let alone other countries. Especially those countries that often want to compare with China but still can't. For example, India seems very unconvinced. After hearing that China has such a large destroyer, it is itchy in my heart and vows to build an Indian version of a 10,000-ton large destroyer. Not long ago, India officially announced this plan and named it a new generation of P-18. It claims to be able to cross 055 in seconds. Its displacement exceeds 13,000 tons. The entire ship adopts a stealth design. It is also equipped with 2 laser weapon systems of 300 kilowatts and 100 kilowatts, which can be used for short-range anti-missile defense. But what is more funny is that the ship's anti-submarine weapon system retains 2 ancestral RBU-6000 rocket-boosted anti-submarine deep bombs. You may not know the name. To put it bluntly, it is a second-hand product removed from other guided missile destroyers. And these 2 second-hand goods are the biggest highlights on the P-18 destroyer, which claims to crush the Chinese Type 055 destroyer. Strictly speaking, there are only 2 countries in the world that can independently design large guided missile destroyers and provide all supporting facilities independently, and one is the United States. The other one is China. To put it bluntly, India wants to wrestle with China in the field of guided missile destroyers, and it is not a short breath. Even for technological cash such as Japan, Several large phased array destroyers such as Gang Atago use the American Aegis system for phase control systems and radars. Another example is the most advanced models in Europe, such as the British Type 45, and the French Horizon, all of which use the active small caliber phased array system of the mass top multifaceted array, and the large Aegis system of China and the United States. Not in the same order of magnitude. Therefore, if a country like India likes to draw cakes to satisfy its hunger, if it wants to catch up with China, it can only talk about it, or make a PPT, and have a good time. Before reading, click on the blue font above Shanghai Hotline Analysis to pay attention to establish an in-depth working relationship. In recent years, Western countries headed by the United States have racked their brains to exaggerate the China threat and spared no effort to pour dirty water on China. For this reason, U.S. Deputy Defense Secretary Hicks bluntly stated that the United States should build a cross-H joint force to respond to the threat of China and relieve the challenges of the times brought by China. It can be said that the purpose of the United States trying to strengthen deterrence is to prevent China from sleeping peacefully every year and every day in the future. Of course, we are very clear about the attitude and purpose of the United States. At present, we are still mediating with the United States, just to strive for the best result possible, and to buy ourselves time. If a conflict breaks out, we will not panic. Many people may have realized that since the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, China's strategic policy has changed, and it has become more proactive. There is a point of view that in the early days, China's policy was mainly defensive, but now it has moved to the active attack stage of substituting offense for defense. There are two main actions that can be expressed. First, China released China's position on the political solution to the Ukraine crisis to take the initiative to intervene in the mediation work between Russia and Ukraine. After the release of this document, many people may not have understood the mystery of it. In fact, the most important connotation of this document is not the Ukrainian crisis itself, but China's strength. The Russia-Ukraine conflict broke out, and the United States, as the instigator, is trying to reshape the world order. In this context, ordinary countries can only choose to stand in line, while China can maintain a neutral stance and intervene in mediation work, precisely because of China's strength. Second, China's mediation between Saudi Arabia and Iran has opened a new chapter of Middle East reconciliation. It is a diplomatic feat for the Middle East and the world. This is enough to show that China's international influence is growing. Of course, political success is not enough. In the military direction, it is the top priority of the United States. For a long time, the United States has not dared to move China because of this aspect. Among them, the two secret weapons of the People's Liberation Army made the U.S. military fearful and did not dare to act rashly. The first one is that the J-20 carries Strike 11 drones. Some time ago, CCTV News was exposed that J-20 carried 3 Strike 11 drones for formation attacks. I would like to ask, which country's drones can carry unmanned stealth fighters in the world today? If it is put into actual combat, the combination of J-20 and Strike 11 drones can complete strikes against the ground and the sea without dead ends. If it is combined with satellites to cooperate in operations, how powerful it will be. Compared with the F-22 of the US military, a large number of fighters are already approaching the retirement stage, and it will not be successful. The second weapon is China's 6th-generation fighter jet. Not long ago, the true appearance of the suspected Chinese 6th-generation fighter jet was exposed. In the test of the new flying missile engine announced by CCTV, a new tailless delta-wing fighter jet appeared. The shape is quite sci-fi. At first glance, it looks like a cross-age transformer, completely different from the existing J-20 and J-35. The core technology and strike capability of these two secret weapons have completely surpassed the US military, and each of them is a top weapon. Based on this, we can be sure that in front of the Chinese People's Liberation Army, the US military dare not act rashly. At the same time, the US government is also very clear that the current world situation is chaotic, and it must not tear itself apart with China, otherwise it will only quickly lead to recession and the complete disintegration of hegemony.